Peace. Peace and greetings. Greetings. Love and light. I'm on a roll. I'm on fire. What they say when you on the roll? Nah, peace and greetings. Let me turn this down a little bit. I do not own the rights to this music. It's so funny because before I started this video, let me give honor to the ancestors known and unknown. Gratitude to source and connection. LL Cool J, I need love. Came on, I was like, I need love. Okay, anyway. I love listening to these love songs. Let me tell you something. I've always been a lover boy. I've always been about love. I'm a good man. I love this song too. Everything be synchronicity. This life. Oh, this love. Okay, I gotta focus. Okay, what I really want to speak about, I want to get more things be coming to me as I just I sit with myself and they come back to me again. So Spirit wants me to speak on, okay, the healing of the divine feminine and masculine, and how up to this very moment it has unveiled. Everything is happening in divine order. Let's say you were a woman per se that grew up in a home, or a little girl that grew up in a home with her father, and that the absentee of the mother not being there is like a part of the divine feminine not being there. See what I'm getting at now? And so that being said, is that that played a major part in your life experience or your childhood experience up to you, or one coming into womanhood, or coming into the unveiling of her divine feminine. Because let's say if you were just a only child or whatever, or just had a father there, being whatever his connection was to his mother, he could only portray, what it is to love from that feminine aspect within himself. However that was portrayed, through his mother or grandmother, whomever was a motherly figure in his life, or a feminine figure in his life. So however that experience is in your childhood, that acted out, however that father figure or masculine portrayed or projected his experience with the feminine onto you. Okay, so let me say okay. So let's say if you were just a little girl, and whatever that parent's traumatic experiences, they carry that through their childhood to you. And see, that's like from generation to generation till it got to you. So then him being you only seeing, again, as a father, as a man, seeing femininity expressed in a masculine form. See where I'm getting at? So a lot of which is when we can have parents or people that co-created, and they just did it from a physical perspective, not knowing nothing about, acknowledging their traumatic experiences, their childhood wounds, or any of the things that they've experienced. So a lot of babies were created and then people part ways. That right there not only creates an imbalance, but that's how a lot of what we see, our women have been so more in their masculine energy. And that over time creates a wounded feminine, meaning the neglecting of her darkness, which is her nurturing, her femininity, knowing that, her, that emotional part of who she is, that surrenderance to all those things that create, that emerge, that create the light, or seeing the oneness in that. It's the same for me growing up in homes where you're seeing, okay, no, let me stay on that topic. How you're seeing that on the world, how it's displayed, where this uh, overbearingness of masculinity being portrayed with women. And it's not so much that it's their fault, it's how generationally, how, through one's lineage, it has been passed down. Going all the way back to where the focus was dividing families, especially those that don't know. If you really look into what they call slavery or whatever, it's to depth. It goes more into depth about why the family dynamic was to be split apart. Because then, let's say, if you had a woman, if you had a little girl, a man and woman came together, and a lot of what happened in those dark moments and back in those earlier days is that you had the tribes, and you had like the chief, you had the midwives, people that would take care of the village, because there's a saying that it takes a village to raise a family, or a child. It takes a village to raise a child. And see, the women were in sync with each other. They took care of the children. Then you had, a chief, or then you had men. You had a chief that was there and disciplined, or had, it's not so much of control, but he was like the leader. Then, of the village, of the tribe. There were other in that he had what some may call multiple wives, but they were considered midwives. See, that's in a tribal sense. How everyone, again, the women took care of everything. And see, that's the importance of leading up to the moments where people that were already here, then people that came on ships, because there were people already here as well. And just how much where it goes into depth to how, it's so traumatic, to where mothers, as soon as they arrived here, their kids were taken from them, or they were fed to gators. Like, you can research this stuff. And a lot of that stuff happened. It was so traumatic to them. And as a mother, imagine your child being, you just having a child being taken away. I'm just going to get into depth how traumatic, how generationally a lot of stuff has been passed on to this very moment. So let's say when the, invasion came in, people came here. This is why I be expressing to y'all about learning your lineage, and that there's different shades. There was also people of darker shades, darker hues, that came from other places around the continent that come here. There was already indigenous people here, or what they call Niji, or the tribes that were already here. So that being said, there were ancestors that foresaw, the Europeans, Irish, whomever it is, coming here. And so that being said, this was a part of what they called prophecy. They knew, they welcomed them in. But it also that people that came here on ships that were from other continents, they were of darker shades that actually helped put people into slavery. It was just not Europeans or people of lighter shades. There were things happen where people helped. Okay, to get to this point to where we are now, again, traumatically, like Ghana was a part of one. A lot of places actually helped divide their own people, where they were put on ships, they were put in shackles. It wasn't just what history or what man has taught you. See, that's the division when it comes between this illusion of, this black and white thing, which are adjectives. No, there was other people that played a role in there. Even when they arrived here, there was indigenous people that also helped. There were certain tribes that also helped. What they call that also helped enslave people of African descent, or from if it ain't even African, or some people from other countries. So there were other people that helped with all of this. This is why you have people again, that have nappy or curly, real thick hair. And then some of our ancestors here had straight hair. Then you have what they call Native Americans, who consider themselves, that I see sometimes they don't even acknowledge the fact of your ancestors were darker originally and played a major part in a lot of this stuff that happened through eons and centuries. See, a lot of women, how do you think the name mulatto, or how do you think a lot of these people use light skin terms, or how do you think a lot of people, when you go really look, are Irish descent, what else, European, Scottish, right here in Carolina, right here in the Virginias, and all of these places, which are really originally these names came from places from Europe. And when you go to learn about how the British, you know, and this is why a lot of people are learning more about the history of what the British and how they play a major part in the enslavement of a people, and why people came here per se to the South. And see, I'm showing y'all, giving you a timeline how traumatically this stuff has came up, to even to where you go, these plantations. I was researching and learned how one of the number one, what they call slave owners, were actually from South Carolina. Yes. They actually still have signs up to where what they call interracial marriages, interracial meaning, you know, a person of a lighter hue or darker hue, what they call white and black or whatever, because these people came here. And as indigenous people, it wasn't always like this. But you had people that, again, that betrayed certain tribes. When people did come here, a lot of their families, they were slaughtered. Their kids was murdered in front of them. The word MFA is what y'all know, motherfucker, actually comes and derived from what they call back breaking, or that also is a part of how a lot of trauma has been passed down, to where these cattle homes actually where they had people of darker descent, like darker flesh, or people that look like me per se. The original zoos were actually people of darker shades. So these things that, again, when you really go into depth about it, it was so much betrayal and so much things that happened through these lineages, where chiefs betrayed chiefs. You had people that didn't get along, or, you know, you had a lot of slaughtering because people were in fear of their kids not being harmed, and they would do anything. You had the what else? Because you had this is why you have spirits, like you have so much, people have so much self-hatred, it seems like, towards other people, but really it's really for themselves, and what they don't realize, that not all of their ancestors did great things. They were also a part of, killings and slaughterings of certain things. And then you have ancestors that were also, they were sacrificed through a lot of things. And so that being said, this is a lot of, again, the accountability that the Americas, and then the divine judgment that the Americas is up under right now. It's because a lot of stuff is being brushed up under the rug, and then there are very select few that are aware of this. And this is why you're learning, wherever you go, you're seeing these mounds. You're seeing people that are still, I'm meeting people as I was traveling, still meeting people. I'm looking at them like, wow, your hair is really long. Oh, you have bone structure. And this stuff is like in the libraries, where you see how, certain diseases we didn't have as a people, because we lived off the land, the herbs and stuff like that. Not until certain people came brought these diseases with them. It's so much, it goes into depth to where we have to really unlearn what we've been taught through history, because this is what has been keeping people divided. This is why a lot of us are attracting people, and it has nothing to do with what they look like. Some of us are attracting divine partners or partnerships to where there's a healing that needs to take place, not only within yourself, but it also heal your lineages. Some of y'all, I'm telling you, it goes into depths that your ancestors could have betrayed this person's ancestors. Yes, it goes that deep. One partner I met, and I was learning about her ancestry, and I was learning about one ancestry. I'm like, yo, whoa, this goes way, way back to where, it came to a point where, again, we're talking about, especially when you go down to like Charleston and a lot of these places, they still have benches. They still have places where people came in and were sold off. They still have benches. And they parade these things, these museums, and a lot of these things that, again, it reminds people of the trauma. Yes, certain connections you attract is because Spirit wants you to go deeper to why you need to bring healing to yourself and get through the fact of like, okay, some of your ancestors, yeah, you start to dig into those names and it goes so much deeper. Why some of your ancestors are from a lot of places around the world. A lot of people migrated here because they wanted freedom. A lot of people from a lot of countries migrated here because they knew that this land had more to offer to their generations. And so they were willing to do anything. That's just like if a people is here, notice everyone comes to the so-called America, the sacred land, the land of the free. Because it goes deeper than that. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge the fact that their family owned so many people. And then it was passed down to where you had people that came together that was of darker descent, and this person, they got jungle fever, whatever you want to call it, and they made it. And some people had to do it to keep their lineage, to keep that lineage alive. Going back to the word, did I even finish that? The MF word? Yo, that was stuff that happened to where people would be at gunpoint and they will cover their face and they will demasculate the man, or make him seem like get the biggest and strongest one and put him right there and whoop him, beat him, whatever it is, to make it seem like, hey, you're nothing to all of the people, because he was that leader. He was seen as that powerful man. And then they will make him cover his face and make him mate with someone in that, whether it be his mother. See, that's where the word MF comes from. And a lot of men were castrated. They were turned upside down, like you see the movie Django. They were turned upside down. They will cut their balls off. Yes. Because that keeps them from what? Having kids. They didn't want the strongest one to keep passing on that gene or whatever it was. And some people, some of my ancestors, they co-created with certain family members to keep that lineage and bloodline alive. As crazy as it must sound, yes. I do not feel like this is the only time when it happened like that. For all we know, we only know so much, but it goes deeper than that. I've been to plantations where they still, again, people are on these lands and not realizing that these ancestors are still there spiritually. And people know, they know what I'm talking about. They know, trust me. You can kill the body, you can destroy the body, but the soul still lives on. You can feel the presence when you go to certain places. That's why I love when I travel. You can feel the presence of the ancestors. I speak from my experience, I had to meet my partner. And then even I will get into, let her know, like, look, it goes much more into depth about how and why people come together. We're all connected in this, but we're also all a part of this healing that's taking place upon this earth. As much as some people don't want to be a part of it, no one can hide from the light. But that's what has kept a people divided. They don't realize that they don't have knowledge of their ancestral, lineages. They don't have knowledge. So when they don't have knowledge and know what's going on, they cannot have the wisdom to apply these things. They don't know how to apply it. And so it gets much deeper than why people have been experiencing this. It's prophesied even in the word how a certain people had to go through these things and for us to be here now. But the thing about it is like the accountability. You see, all these things have led up to from the demasculating, how could I say the word? Demasculating or the defeminizing of women and men. And see, these things have followed all the way up to now. Again, where they have broken the family dynamic apart. You have to see it from the origins. The origins of the earth is a darker shade of people. That's the origins. The original is science. And so, because now there's going to come when people want to start acknowledging this and realize that somewhere down your lineages, you were created from, this. You were created from this. Then you learn to acknowledge it. Not everyone will. Some people don't even know why they grow up in this. They don't even really. It's so funny, man. Like, whatever history people have learned and they take it on, it has made them realize what was taught in their school, per se. Let's say if we would call them European or Caucasian descent. The accountability is that if you chosen to learn certain things, and then these books or certain things have been taught and expressed to you that you're superior, and then it's been a gateway for you just to succeed and not another people or certain people. You tell me that's not teaching, that's not breeding self-destruction and hatred. That's exactly what's happening right now. What you learn has breeded and give life to that same greed, that same self-hatred, and all those things is a very thing that's going to destroy your people. And see, this is what, like, leading up to these moments now, people are realizing if you keep people apart from each other, not loving on each other, not acknowledging and healing as a family unit or as a tribe, how can humanity come together? If they'd rather be focused on fear rather than love. Love heals all things. And so, going back, getting up to the point to where all these traumas and these things have followed the people up to, culturally, like everyone, to where it's not just our people that grow up in certain homes. And no, that right there creates an imbalance. If a man grows up in a home with a lot of women or just a mother, what was her relationship with her father? I learned that through my experience, and then, seeing why, and I will even question, I had to get to that point and question my mother, like, what is it? I mean, I get men have treated you this way, but I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to do those things to you. Because, see, a lot of how and why the parents and the guardians that we have treated us so much like nothing is because they never knew. They could only use the tools that they had or what their parents had, only to pass it on to us. Meaning that they only knew to work 9 to 5 and work towards what they call retirement or, you know, do all these things. They only know to pass that to you. See what I'm getting at? And again, and see, the same thing with traumas. The same thing with their experiences, their projections. They only know to pass it to you. See, over time, that man becomes hypersensitive to where he doesn't know what it is to walk in his or to stand in his masculinity. Because all he sees or is being portrayed is a wounded femininity. See what I'm getting at? A wounded mother. So then as he gets and grows, he attracts that same wounded mother from what he's learning. Same thing with a woman, a little girl. That same protection and admiration and all those things, those morals and principles that her dad has taught her, unconsciously and consciously, she carries that. And then every man she meets, unconsciously, she's still attracting the aspect of the father or the masculine that was shown to her. And as she attracts this, she knows not what it is to be in her femininity, because she only had, from what she saw, a physical man that was in his masculinity. And see, it all, if the mother, you know, depending on how the home is, if she didn't know what it is to honor her femininity, how can she show her daughter? This is what you're seeing displayed in the world. The accountability. The same with men. This is why I've learned that even when I connected and met people's parents, me being honoring who I am, I'm like, yo, now I see why one can be intimidated, or one can it's not so much they fear you, it's the light that you are bearing. You come in and shine light, and when you try to speak to certain people or mirror to them, it's like you mirror their childhood wounds. You trigger the darkness that they haven't acknowledged. See what I'm getting at? Yeah. If your dad or someone just showed you, oh, this is how you get a man, because you're a little girl, you looking up to dad, like, this is how you get a man, because you're unconsciously absorbing this in your subconscious, like, this is how you get any man, basically, or all men, because that's all you see is, I saw my dad work, he did all this for me, my dad did this for me. And what does that do? You turn around, you meet a man, well, I need you to do this for me, I need you to do this for me, I do this. Same thing with men. My mama did it, my mama da-da-da. But at the same token, deep down, did they show you what it is to love yourself, to accept yourself? Before all these things, they showed you how. It's like a manual. Yes, they showed you all these things up to now. Okay, this is the guideline, this is the guideline. Okay, so, but did they express to you if the world changed? Or if this natural disaster happened, or if this happened? Basically, like, they showed you what it is to be connected to, you know, the creator. Or, you know, if mom wasn't there, and then mom don't know what it is to be led off her intuition and see herself as honorable and what y'all say queen or this and that, how can she instill that into her daughter? Same with a man. How can a father, if he doesn't respect himself, he doesn't love himself and all these things, how can he show that to his son? How can he instill in his son what it is to honor a woman as you honor yourself, or honor yourself as you honor, you know? A lot of things that we've been shown is from trauma bonding. People stay in connections and relationships because it's through trauma bonding, meaning that they stay in things either because their mom or their dad was like, this is the way we did it, and this is my way or the highway. Rather than, okay, even if they grew up in homes where there was a marriage and this parent or this person, does still not mean that this mother can be, can pour her love out, and then the father still be emotionally unavailable. It all goes back, basically what I'm saying, it all goes back to the root of how and what they were shown through love. So they've shown you a way what it is, how to love yourself. That's what I'm getting at. We've all been shown unconsciously when we were kids what it is to love ourselves, whether it be through TV, our experiences with relatives, and all that. You know, and a lot of the stuff is just, you realize it's so dysfunctional. It's so imbalanced. And you're like, now, okay, how do we, okay, the solution is now, what do? We sit down, and that's how you talk about it. You can write it out. Everyone's not going to be at the same place, but look at how it started from the dividing of the family structure up to now. And how much trauma has been passed down. And how much, you know, we've brushed up under the rug. How much the system has, its job or its purpose is to keep people divided. Child support. Yes, I said it. The prison system. What else? The school system. Yes, all these things. Because if you look at how I'm not saying go back to the experiences, but obviously certain things that were passed on to us, obviously the ancestors knew that, if people lived off the land, if people learned to talk about, you know, forgive and love themselves, or just really had leadership. See, a lot of people didn't grow up in homes where there were leaderships. There were egos. There were clash. So they don't know, well, my mama said this, my dad said this, or this person said this. It was a lot of fussing, bickering, dysfunction. So then when they're outside of the home and from the school system, that's another parenting, a way of parenting, because the teacher's telling you this. Well, my mama said this. Then you had, well, my daddy said this, the coach. Well, my mom, you ain't my mama, you ain't my, and we know, you ain't my mama, you ain't my daddy. But now it's like, you your mama and your daddy. You your divine masculine and feminine. Because you've always been parenting yourself. You've always been there for you. See, the world has shown us to be there for others, and get so far gone into do this for others, do this for others. Yes, we're supposed to be of service to people. But in that service, you also be of service to yourself. You pour into yourself. See, we didn't grow up in places, a lot of us didn't grow up in homes where, Dad, you know, I need a moment. It's so much. But again, you see how a lot of stuff has came to this moment. Again, how you grew up in these family dynamics. And again, you can still grow up in the biggest house and have all the money. But how many people, now we're starting to realize how emotionally imbalanced people are. How important mental awareness is now. How important it is to love ourselves now. To rest our soul. We're seeing that importance in all of that now. How much our mothers didn't know what it was, because when Dad stepped out and didn't return, she had to go do all of this. Then I was there to, you know, fend for myself. You know, this mother had to go, or this dad had to go do this, or he's pouring all his energy into this woman and forgetting about me. My mom pouring all her energy into these men and forgetting about me. Then I learned now that it had nothing to do with me. they're trying to find love just as much as I'm trying to receive love as a child. Okay? Like, dang, like, it's real. As much as I had to learn that, if anything I've learned is like I see the importance now of nurturing and loving myself and honoring that. And see, we have to really see to the depths of how much the world is wounded right now. People are wounded, and you look around and see like, wow, man, people are really wounded, and they cover it up, and you're learning like people cover it up, and this is not people that well, true. I gotta say what it is. People cover it up with just trying to look physically good. They don't even know who they are. Like, they don't even know who they are inside. So they try to cover it up like, oh, I look physically fit. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm perfect just the way I am. Man, these people are ugly and dead in the inside. They dying on the inside. That's what it is. They dying on the inside. Go home and they or go wherever they're going and just feel like they just nothing. That's why it's important for us to empower ourselves in these moments. Those that know. Because people, like, who are they fooling now? You see it. Like, who are you fooling now? You see people, you see your parents, you see family members, you be laughing. Yeah, it's good to laugh, but I be like, who y'all fooling, man? I'm my own therapist first. Not that people go get therapy, but it's deeper. It gets much deeper than that. Especially when you know that some people are out here, they're waiting on their mom to tell them that they love them. Or they're waiting on the dad to finally tell them that they love them. I always share with people with certain connections. I was like, that I'm a reflection of all the men, or until you get to that place where it's not in a way of like incest or like I'm in a way of the mirror of like the father that you experienced, like, how you view your father is how you view me in a spiritual sense, meaning like, have you healed that father aspect within you? What they call those daddy issues. That divine masculine. Same with men, like how you view women in a sense is that, have you healed that femininity? Like, have you healed from your motherly wounds? Or it's not so much of your motherly wounds, it's have you acknowledged the fact of, okay, you went through this with your mom, you felt like she didn't love you, all these things, but you knew that she could, acknowledging the polarity of it. Okay, I knew acknowledging like, okay, I forgive her. I acknowledge that she can only do the best she could. And then we learn to get through those stages, whether we cry through it, whether we sit with ourselves, whether we heal through it. Then we're able to love on ourselves, heal through it, and then we're able to show them. Because then we realize they're not open and receiving to that love sometimes because they never were, it was never expressed to them. And see, this is why some of us now are coming to that awareness and seeing the importance of what true, generational wealth or wisdom is, and healing that aspect of ourselves. And when we do that, we heal ourselves, our lineages past and present and future. Okay? Whew. So, let me get this out too. To some of the sisters and brothers, it's not your fault that your mother or father wasn't there when your cousin, brother, or even a father or mother forced himself on you. It's not your fault. Forgive yourself. Forgive them. Forgiveness is for you. Sometimes they may not know what some people don't know how to forgive, but forgive yourself so you don't got to keep carrying that burden, okay? And so it doesn't be so you can get to that place where you can feel worthy of having, um, an exchange, sexual exchange, or healing yourself. Um, they do like Yoni Steam Spirit says, putting your hand over your stomach, like your womb, and speaking life, like I love myself, I am healed, I forgive myself, and however, whatever duration, there's no rush. To the men too, there's no rush. To the women, put your hands over your womb and speak that. Speak life into your womb. See, a lot of trauma has been passed through the womb because of, again, I tell people, like, when your grandmother was pregnant with your mother, you were an egg inside of your mother when your grandmother was like approximately like 2 or 3 months. So a lot of what has happened with our women, a lot of trauma has been passed through their womb. See, that goes back into where a lot of women were forced upon. They were forced to have kids. A lot of those people, going way back, a lot of them were forced on. And then even with men, not knowing what it is to honor their life force, which is their seed, men were raped too. Men were raped. That's where the butt breaking comes from, where they would demasculate the men in front of the women. And so that right there created a division of, to see that. The kids, so a lot of stuff, man, people don't realize how it has gotten to this point, and where it's so much healing across the board that is so much deeper. But to those that sexually have been abused, you are worthy, you are important, you are valuable in these moments, and your message is going to be needed when a moment comes. Your spirit is calling you to write a book. Do it. I'm open to collaborate with you. Yes. However that, trust me, I already got the visual. I don't know, spirit. What else? Those that have been verbally abused as well. Sometimes you gotta go in the mirror and speak affirmations to yourself. I love me. I love loving me. I am valuable. I did come here to fulfill my purpose. I will. And even if that means people that have experienced sexual abuse, verbal and mentally, all these things, it is connected to your spiritual. Meaning, from when you acknowledge what you have experienced, then you're able to release that energy, that dark spirit, or that entity from your life, from your lineage. It gotta go. Ashe. It has to. And when you speak that, you rebuke it. It don't have no place here. Not in your homes. To the women, it don't have no place here. Because when we hold on to certain traumas in the body, look at the word issue. Then you look at the word tissue. See, certain traumas are in the body. And most importantly to my women, a lot of your trauma is in your womb. Because that's how it's passed down. Because you create life in your womb and you bring life here. Men too. A lot of stuff is in your body. Because a lot of things that have happened has been passed down. Look at the word issues and you look at the word tissues. Trauma has been built up through in the body. You're like, yeah, this is why if you're having certain pains or certain stuff in the body, I'm telling you, like spirits, a lot of stuff is transferred. A lot of stuff in the body where you having aches and stuff, a lot of that stuff is because it's built up energy, frustrations, anger, a lot of emotions, again, that has been through connections with parents and people. That is trauma. This is why a lot of people are guided to meditation. This is why a lot of people are guided to yoga or yogi, because when you stretch, it releases traumas in the body. And a lot of it brings us to that place of a centered place, and we cry and we release. And see, another thing, honor your crying. Honor that. That's a release. When you cry, you are releasing. To my men, to my brothers, it is okay to cry. I do it. I release it. Because it's like energy. It got to go. To my women, it's okay to cry. Some people, it's okay to release. Cry till you cannot cry no more. Blow them boogers out. Whatever you got to do. You know, if you have a solution to anger or frustration, go somewhere. Put your feet in the water. I do not recommend harming anybody. There is like, some people, you can go somewhere and you release your frustration not on not to bring harm to yourself. Spirit is saying like you can get it back, but you go somewhere and like, something that you want to get rid of, but it's like you release it in a way to where you know that it's healthy. You don't got to use any type of weapon. We're not doing anything to harm or bring harm to anyone. It's however you feel spirit led to release the anger. I'm trying to feel like another way how I released it. Sometimes you got to really sit with that thing. I'm telling you got to really sit with that thing and to where you feeling that feeling of getting hot. You got to release that thing. Some call it working out. Go for a walk. Do things to where, again, these energy that's built up over time, go find a way to release it. Create. There's a lot of things when we're coming to honoring our life force and our sacred energy, we realize that we start to get in tune with, the chakra system. And a lot of that trauma. And see, this is what the balance that's happening in the world right now. A lot of things is built. This has to do with the roots. And see, we're returning to our roots in the darkness of who we are. That is in our base, which is our root chakra, which is represented by the red, our life force, the passion, all those things. See, when we're returning to the essence of that, we learn to not misuse that power. And see, that's the womb, the divine feminine. She's learning to not misuse or to to honor that and heal her womb. Meaning restraining, if you have to restrain from sex and heal things, and that's when your body comes back into alignment to where you don't even bleed as heavy. Because your cycle is, you getting in tune with Mother Nature, which is who you are. Same with men, you getting in tune, learning not to just go release onto anyone. And you getting back and learning that what the base of the root chakra is, which is connected to everything, because everything starts from the bottom to the top. Then as above, so below. So it works like polarity. Dark to light, light to dark in a way. So like the root chakra is the base of everything. See, a lot of trauma has been passed through, not only through the womb of the woman, but how our men have used their, I call it staff. And see, we're learning to get into that aspect of, now people are going to be doing more yoga, learning how to transmute that energy and be guided in a way to where we can learn to channel that energy and use it that's your creative force. That root chakra. This is what a lot of our women are going through right now. Like, if you're being called because you're healing generational trauma, ancestral trauma, just imagine what your great-grandmother went through. A lot of us know this too. Some of your grandmothers and men too, because you got grandmothers, great-grandmothers as ancestors too, both sides, however you want to see it. And we're healing stuff like that. People that from generations, that spirit, that succubus spirit that has followed their generations because of people have been raped, and that spirit has followed them And then that has happened in their childhood. They don't know why, but I'm here to let you know, because that has happened where it has been passed down from something happening in, you know, a past life, or something that happened along down the lineage. And see, you are the one that's chosen to speak about it and share it, because a lot of people don't have that courage. Some women are being called to speak about these things because they don't have that courage. Some men as well. That led a lot of people to question their, what they call, sexual preference or sexuality. You know, not knowing why, you know, this is happening. And so as you heal, you're healing yourself, and you're being guided to write that book, do some artwork, you know, something creative, and then share it. You know, use these gems and what you've learned to share with the children. Because again, once we acknowledge and face this and release this is a spiritual warfare. And then we be able to protect our seeds, will be our ancestors, because, you know, protect us and guide us. And then our children's children, or star seeds, will be protected as well. And some of them come for that purpose. They come at a higher frequency for us to see that awareness now, for us to face those things now. Yeah. And then for us to live in that harmony with people who understand and are willing to go through that healing process with us. To live in communities or villages or wherever spirit is guiding you to. And then be able to, you know, speak about it with other sisters or other brothers, to why it is that I appreciate you for sharing your story. I'm grateful for you. Now we can walk together in this, hand in hand, in victory, and know that your experiences and your journey is not in vain. Now you can walk in glory. You don't have to walk in shame. I don't know how did that just rhyme, but it just came out like that. What, that was fire! I had to look at this video again. Okay, anyway. But it's beautiful though when we acknowledge these things, because it elevates the, you know, it helps the ascension of the planet, or Mother Gaia. So again, poetry too. I love poetry. Music too. Yes. A lot of you got, ooh, can you imagine, bro? I don't know who this for. Yes. Spirit say that. Imagine creating a song about your experience. You see how much, you know, I feel like I got my email on here. But if you see how much people are parading, it's so interesting how they parade showing your butt and all this other stuff. But how much of that, especially models and women that have been forced upon to even gain that so-called family they're in, and not told nobody about it. How much longer do people want to actually pretend like they really want to have intercourse or exchange with these people, knowing that their body is not wanting that? Whoo! Especially to my women. Do you know what you're gonna do? Write a song about that? Like, you know, I went through this experience. I love myself. You know, I had this experience when I was 3 or 4, when I was forced upon the floor, you know, from a man that I didn't even know that. Bruh, I'm telling you, it's so deep. And you know how much you're gonna help so many souls? Do it. Maybe I just need to do it. Maybe that's just probably what I'm feeling. Yeah, I need to do it, write it. But for whomever you are, and sometimes you just need to write it, because somebody may have the voice for it. You see how people are just puzzle pieces? Now it's time for us to heal and use that guiding light, man. Come on. To my men, too. It's so deep, man. But I love you all. Peace and blessings. Do it. Why not now? I love you all. Peace and blessings. Hey.